Josefina Lopez, Real Women Have Curves.
So first of all, congratulations on your accomplishment. Before we get into Real Women Have Curves, let's talk a little bit about Casa 0101 because I just went to go see your latest play, Tuesdays with Maury, and
Mhm.
every single season it seems that the plays get better and better. Why has Casa 0101 been a project that you've continued to evolve and progress in, Boyle Heights?
Oh, well, it was my mission to tell our stories and to make theater accessible to Latinos and people in Boyle Heights because I feel like our community was so neglected and left out, and it's a way of bringing arts and culture. And this is the kind of theater I wanted that I didn't get to have as a child that I wanted to see in my community.
Aside from the play, you also have artists display in the hallways or your exhibit that goes along with the play. How did that come about?
Well, I wanted to bring art in whatever way possible. And so when we finally got the big theater constructed, I wanted to have an art gallery because why not? There's so many talented Latino artists who need opportunities. And so for me, it was like, oh wow, we're gonna have a gallery so we can showcase all this amazing talent. And I'm also an artist, so I also get inspired by going through the hallways and seeing this beautiful art. And for me, that's the greatest tragedy is that there's so many incredible artists who are Latino women who don't get opportunities. So I try to create those opportunities for people. The opportunities that I wanted, I try to give them to others.
Aside from the productions you guys put on, you guys have classes and help people bring their stories to the stage. How important was it for you guys to create something like that in Boyle Heights?
For me, it has always been important because I felt invisible, and even today, like the Latinos, we're the majority, and yet we're still invisible. So for me, this is the way I fight an injustice is by telling people your story matters, you matter. We're not invisible, and we're going to make ourselves visible, and we're going to celebrate our culture, and we're going to celebrate the lessons and the strengths and the courage it takes to be the bad guy in somebody else's story by telling our story where we're the protagonists, where we're the good guys, where we're the good mujeres and the wise women. So for me, this is my life's mission.
What have been some of the obstacles in keeping Casa 0101 going?
It's always financial support. We always need more financial support because I started funding it with my own money.
Mhm.
And then the executive director who was my husband, like he still believes in the mission. So we put our money where our mouth is and we basically have supported this, but now we're getting more funding, but we still need more funding because there's not that many theaters in Boyle Heights. There's not that many programs. And so we need to have cultural centers in our community so that children can grow up inspired. There's a lot of gangs, there's a lot of things that can distract children. And I think if we have arts and culture and all these beautiful things that children want to be a part of, they won't end up in gangs, they won't end up being distracted and doing things that are not for their highest good. Um, so we always need funding. We need support.
Definitely. Going into Real Women Have Curves, I remember, I think it was 2003, you were the key speaker for the Southeast Los Angeles Student Film Festival, and you
Yeah,
spoke
uh-huh.
very, I was part of the staff that put that together. I was still just a kid, but hearing you speak was very inspiring.
Did you like when I put that politician in his place?
Oh yes, definitely.
He said something sexist, so
Mhm.
sexist in front of all those young women. I'm like, dude, you just said something really sexist in front of all these young women who want to be filmmakers. I can't believe nobody. I said, I'm gonna have to check this man because we can't let that go unchecked. And I want these young women to know that they can be directors too, that they can aspire to dream just like the boys in that film festival. Yeah, I remember that because I remember just being shocked
Mhm.
by his comments.
Definitely. Going with that, when you get to talk to people, especially when you've already put out this story that is so timeless, because this could happen at any place in time.
Mhm.
What message do you hope people take away from Real Women Have Curves and from your story in general?
Well, especially with the Broadway musical, I mean, the fact that I was 18 years old and I was in a sewing factory in Boyle Heights, and then here I am watching on a Broadway stage a young woman, playing me
Mhm.
in a sewing factory ironing is just incredible. So if it could happen for me, it could happen for anyone. And I think I am the product of the American dream. And I want people to say, you have to have the audacity to believe that you deserve to have your dreams come true, just like I did. And that audacity, that desire is what's going to guide you to make miracles happen, to make a lot of things happen. And the greatest thing too is that my story gets to challenge this narrative of Latino immigrants
Mhm.
and immigrants being like criminals and all these horrific things they've said about us. And here's the other thing is that this I've created so many jobs, right? They accuse us of stealing jobs. Well, I think I've created about a thousand jobs now.
Mhm.
So,
Definitely.
with all the stuff that I do, I easily have created a thousand jobs now.
Mhm.
And I think, hopefully this show will be a huge hit. And if
Mhm.
it's a huge hit, it'll create a couple thousand more. So to me, like I am so happy that my dream to tell my story and to show the dignity that it takes to be undocumented, to be a woman, to be a working class person. And then now that this story gets to challenge this awful narrative that's happening right now, and that it creates jobs, and that it really highlights all the amazing things and resiliency of being an immigrant is the greatest celebration of my life.
Definitely. And in 2002, when the movie came out, you presented the world to America Ferrera, who continues to talk so great about this play. How do you feel with her success and the fact that she does acknowledge the fact that Real Women Have Curves did put her in a different spotlight?
Well, I am so happy it made her a star, because I'm sure the young woman who's playing Anna is going to become a star. She's incredible, and it makes me so happy to know that my stories and have the ability to make people stars.
Hmm.
So I am happy that she acknowledges it, because you're right. Like, who would give a chubby 18-year-old Latina girl an opportunity to be the lead in a movie? I mean, and to some degree, she was playing me. I was an activist. I've always been an activist since I was like a 10-year-old kid who had to stand up against the boys in class. So yeah, her playing me really made her a star. Isn't that great?
Yeah,
It makes me so happy.
that
And the
is
more
all.
that's what she becomes, the more people know about Real Women Have Curves and discover this story. Yeah.
Definitely. And the musical now, you have relatively unknown playing Anna again. She from the reviews that I've seen, she's done a fantastic job. You have so many people behind this project, even with the political climate, how thrilled are you that people are connecting with this and are wanting to see this?
I am so happy that people are coming. And that obviously our community is coming because we want to see ourselves on stage. But I love it that there are people who maybe know nothing about the story and they leave learning so much about what it means to be an immigrant and what it means to be a Latina, a woman. It's just, it's so beautiful. I've seen people who are not Latinos or white tell me that it totally changed their view about immigrants, that they had a really negative view of immigrants, but now they understand how immigrants are pitted against other people, but it's really the corporations who are at fault because they basically want to exploit whomever they can exploit, and they'll do someone who's in a powerless position, right? So it's not us versus them. It's really the corporations pitting us against each other. It's all these factors and forces, economic forces that do this. So there's really we have we're not we're not the bad guys. We're here. We've contributed so much. So I think when people get that, oh my God, like I'm just seeing these people living their lives, trying to be as optimistic and as joyful as they can in circumstances that would break most people. It really teaches people like, wow, like I don't need to fear you. I need to join with you, to be your ally and to celebrate the fact that there are immigrants that made this country, immigrants make America great. That to me is the greatest truth, is that people with, I mean, even like, what's so great about New York City is that when I was here when I was 18 years old, studying at NYU, and I remember there were no Mexicanos.
Hmm.
No Mexican actors, there was no Mexican food. And to be now, 56 and to come here and to have a show on Broadway, and now there's Mexican restaurants everywhere.
Hmm.
And there's taquerias and taco shops everywhere, and people love it. It makes me so happy that we are a part of American culture and that our story, this Latino story, is very much an American story, and it's being embraced now as an American story.
Definitely. Going with that, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who revolutionized what Broadway was for Latinos, you went to see the show, gave it such great reviews on social media. What is it like for you to get such praise from somebody so well known
Well,
in the theater?
what people don't know is that back in 2000, I think 16, my agent was trying to get him to do the music for Real Women Have Curves
Wow.
back before he was famous. We were trying to get him, and I even met him at in the Heights at the first rehearsal, the first preview,
Wow.
and he congratulated me, and he just looked like he was really busy within the Heights, so I knew he wasn't going to be able to do it. And so I've just kept him, then a couple years later, in 2000, I think 18, I reached out to him. Or after Hamilton, the success of Hamilton. No, I'm sorry. It was earlier than that because Hamilton happened in 2016, something like that. So it had to have been even earlier than that,
Mhm.
right? Right before In the Heights. So I think it might have been 2008. Ay, 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 oh my God. Okay.
Wow.
And then, yeah, so he's known about the project
Mhm.
since like before In the Heights, like before it went to Broadway. And so I was trying to get him still involved, and unfortunately couldn't, because obviously he's doing everything else. So I was so happy, and unfortunately he's gonna come back for the opening, but unfortunately I wasn't there at that performance.
Mhm.
So I didn't get to see him, but he's been very supportive, and so I'm so happy that he put this on social media. So hopefully his fans will come and discover the show and see how amazing and worthy it is. So I'm so happy, and again, he's one of my favorite people because he is a conscious person who grew up with a father who was an activist and who really taught him about the reality of being Latino and how we have to stick together. And so for me, he's an example of like someone who really is of service to others and especially the Latino community.
uh Bring this musical to Broadway, you're not just realizing your own dream, but you're helping so many from the cast also realize dreams that they've had of being on Broadway.
That's right. Like we had about 17 or 18 Broadway debuts.
Hmm.
Like all these actors, like for most of them, it's their first time, and this is a dream come true. And it may have taken them their whole life to get here, and some of them just got here. Like Tatiana, this is her first like big show like this.
Hmm.
So it's incredible, yeah, and it's amazing. All of us are winning. I love it when I create something where everyone gets to win.
Definitely. And your positivity, I think, is part of the reason that you continue to have such success. What does it feel like to continue to move forward in your career, and where do you go from here?
Well, I have a movie that produced with Yelena de Leon, and we're gonna be taking it to a big film festival. I think I can't talk about it right now because I think the press release hasn't gone out yet. But
Okay.
but I just produced a movie that's very much inspired by Real Women Have Curves. It's a comedy, it's a romantic comedy, and so I'm hoping that we can get this. We're more than likely gonna get it distributed, and I'm hoping to like start my own studio. And because I produce plays
Hmm.
and I produce movies. I would also love to start producing a Broadway musical myself. I would love to learn to do that. So I'm also here in New York City to learn, to
Hmm.
understand, what it takes to put a show on Broadway because it takes a lot. And so for me, what happens next is that I mean, I have so many projects in development. I also want to sell the TV show version of Real Women Have Curves, and I can't wait for a movie of the Broadway musical to be made. So that's what's next for Real Women. That's what I see possible. And but I definitely I've written so many screenplays. So now that I know how to produce a movie and I'm getting it all worked out, I also want to open a film school in Boyle Heights because
Wow,
I feel like like can you believe that I got rejected from six different film schools where
that
I've
is
been
crazy.
rejected six times and I was even told that I was not promising that that's why I was not allowed. And I was told like, oh, that I wouldn't fit in because I'm not a rich white male who's
Hmm.
27 years old. At a very famous school. I won't say its name, but I got rejected twice from that school, even though I was guaranteed admission. And part of it was just like, oh, you're just not going to fit in because you're not a white male who's 27 years old, because that's who goes to the school, and you're not rich, you know. And I was rich though, but anyway, yeah, I've had the most sexist, racist experiences trying to get into film school. And I just go, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm supposed to start my own film school.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm supposed to teach people how to tell extraordinary, amazing stories from a woman's point of view, from a Latino point of view, from an indigenous point of view. And maybe that's how come I don't fit in places like that. Or maybe they think, oh, this woman's going to be trouble because she's actually going to speak up against the power structure that only supports men's stories, that only supports stories where men get to win and be the protagonist and rescue women. And instead, I'm trying to tell stories about the courage and strength that it takes to be a woman, and also the different way we experience life as indigenous people, as people of color. And I feel like there's a different way of making movies that's coming in now anyway.
Hmm.
And I think it's our time now to create stories where it's not about an individual, but it's about communities and how everything can be transformed in community and healed through community. And there's just a thousand stories that I have in me that I have to tell.
Definitely. And how do you feel having a film crew following you around documenting the, Real Women Have Curves, the musical coming to the stage?
Well, I'm a pretty public person, and I think that's great because I know this is going to make history and her story. And I think we have to document this because I want people to learn about my struggle, but also about my wins. And I want to teach people how you do it, how you build community, how how you live in the world in a way that's empowering and inspiring to others. I know 20, 30 years from now, or when I'm gone, people are going to want to see this documentary and go, oh, so that's how you do it. Oh, so that's what you need to do. Because I've sacrificed a lot of things in my life. I've done a lot of things that most people aren't willing to do. I've taken all kinds of financial risks. I'm willing to do the things that most people can't do because they're not as resilient and as creative, as funny, uh, as like and I go, sometimes you got to lead the way so
Hmm.
that others can have the courage to follow and then make their own way. And so I've always been that person that was the most courageous, usually because I'm not afraid to speak up, and I'm not afraid to be the bad guy in somebody else's story. Sometimes when you do speak up and you tell the truth, people make you out to be the bad person,
Hmm.
right? But then years later, they recognize you as the most courageous person who was willing to look like a bitch, a witch, or a loca. And so to me, my gift is that I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I trust my gut. I trust what I know, and I know what I know. So then I take risks and I jump. And sometimes I don't know if there's a net, and sometimes I fall on my face, but sometimes I land, and I land well. And so I just sometimes have to be that person that takes the first step, and then everyone else can have the courage to follow. So I'm okay being that person.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on everything. I hope you continue to your success because you are a very powerful voice in in
Yeah.
the Boyle Heights community, and thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Your acknowledgement means a lot because there have been times when I've had to do things that maybe aren't popular and maybe people think are wrong or not right. And it's nice to know that people believe in what I do, because sometimes I do have to challenge certain types of reality that people just think you can't challenge. But I go, no, I don't want to live in a world where I have to be ashamed of being Latina, a woman, or indigenous person. I want to live in a world where I get to celebrate every day who I am, and I get to boldly be Latina and be myself, and be joyous about who I am. And that's how I live in the world.
Awesome. Well, once again, congratulations and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Buena suerte, and keep coming back to Casa.
I will
And
be.
we have oh, I should tell you about the shows that are coming up. I should, because my publicist will be like, oh, you got to tell about, we're doing a play to celebrate Fernando Valenzuela and the
Mhm.
impact he had on the Latino community, Fernando Mania. And then I wrote a play called Electrico, which is about The treaty, a little bit about the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo,
Mhm.
and also about the lynching of Mexicans and the whole land right things. It's a Western drama. I would say it's a feminist Western drama.
Mm.
And so it'll be interesting to see how people are going to respond to that play because it is kind of very serious and intense. It's not my typical comedy. But yeah, anyway, come back to Casa and come see all the amazing shows and things that we're working on.
I will be, and thank you very much once again.